Hello everyone again, it's April the 14th today, a powerful day. I guess you probably have felt that too. We are just now in that window, building up very strongly towards that eclipse portal, which is super powerful. And it is the second new moon in Aries, which we are looking at. So we are now 3 weeks into this solely lunar cycle, to be exact, which started on spring equinox pretty much. In the first degree of Aries we had a new moon, and this is the very special thing about this year. We will have a second new moon here in the 30th degree of Aries, which is the eclipse, the Hybrid Solar Eclipse. But let's start today. Let's start where we are at, and today was the exact alignment of the Sun with Aries. Aries, the one which is challenging and not holding back on getting into conflict for the search of truth, for the search of greater harmony. This is a very, I would call it a cutting energy today a little bit. You might feel it quite ready to challenge, and the good thing about it is, I mean, this is the yearly reset. You see it here at 2434 in Aries, here between Jupiter and Australia. And then here we have Vesta, where the eclipse will occur. So there is this big conjunction here, this stellium as we can call it in astrology, that melding of different frequencies of planets working together as one big team. Naturally, Jupiter here approaching Aries, this will be exact on the 27th of April. So we are still building up towards this intensity of pushing for truth and for clarity, and to speak our minds, to be uncompromising. That's one of the issues about Aries. Doesn't really care what you think about her. She is just out up front and right to the subject issue. She is intending to get to. The beautiful thing now is that this energy expresses, and the moon is always kind of the way this energy will filter through into our world, how it will be felt and expressed. It is centered on health and well-being. That is very promising in itself, that it is the intention behind that challenging is to find a greater harmony, and Chariklo is here too, very much helping to understand what's going on in a very compassionate way. Remember, Chariklo, the wife of Chiron, is a midwife in that sense, holding hands, being there for us when we need it to be protected and cared for, and giving a little bit of extra love. The moon and Haumea all here in Aquarius, and this is in the 14th degree, as you see, of Aquarius, all happening here. And this is actually trining the place where the comet was in February, when it had its one and only conjunction with Mars. And I just show you this chart. It's uncanny. You will see immediately what I mean. This was the comet, the green comet of Deliverance codes for humanity, as the 9 named it. Very deep, very meaningful. Actually, the green Starseeded Comet of Deliverance codes for humanity. So you get really the full picture there. This is about activating, bringing in that last final piece of information, entering that code into the system, which then makes everything fall in place, everyone being activated in the right way, triggered at the right moment. It is that magical touch which this comet has been implementing. Let's just go back to it once more. It has appeared on me here. So you see, it's the exact same axis, 28-degree Aries we have here, and here we have the 28th degree of Libra, so it's exactly inverse. So this 28th degree is showing up one more time prominently here when Mercury will turn retrograde on May on May 15. Actually, I just want to throw this in as it's on my mind. Today is the 14th. Within 7 days, Mercury will turn retrograde till May 15. So if there's anything you have to get in order, buy something in terms of electronics, or always a good thing to do before Mercury goes retrograde. Also, backing up your computers and your phones and so is definitely a good thing before a Mercury retrograde. I had several computer crashes in the past, and I guess everybody had, and particularly during those Mercury retrogrades. If they affect your chart, then it is most important. Anyway, this just on the side note for you to kind of plan a little bit through these next 7 intense days into the peak of that cycle into the new moon of the 21st. Actually, the new moon will be the eclipse new moon on the 20th, 19th or 20th, depending a bit where you are. Here in North America it will be the 19th in the evening, and anywhere more in the east it is the 20th when the new moon will be exact. And just the day after, Mercury turns retrograde. Just so you know, this is kind of the sequence, and there's a few other really powerful alignments in these few days coming, which I will show you here and line up so you get the full picture. So let's just start with this 28th degree here of Libra and Aries, as it is repeatedly showing itself. So let's start with the 27th degree of Libra, of the 28th I should say, which is the ascendant in this chart, and also which was the ascendant in, actually no, the comet has also the Aries. So yeah, my computer is a little slow sometimes, you have too many windows open, but let's just start with that 28th degree of Libra, which is here at the ascendant of today's alignment, Sun and Aries. A man becoming aware of spiritual forces surrounding and assisting him. Beautiful. It's the source here. I'm getting it from, for those of you who are new, the realization at any level of existence that one is never alone, and that the community, visible or invisible, is sustaining one's effort. It's beautiful. It really shows that there's an invisible energy which is constantly helping and assisting. That is the realization which we get today. Inner assurance, yes, that's what the keyword is here, Rudyard gives. Now, the 28th of Aries is an interesting contrast to that, which is here, as you see, at the descendant. So that's how we are experiencing when we meet others, you could say. That's the 7th house cusp. Again, this is the collective picture. This is for the whole planet. This is just a fractal of that location on the 0 meridian. Exactly 1/7 of a full circle north of the equator. the number 7, as I repeatedly explain, is the frequency of infinity, of pulling in that frequency of the greater whole, the unlimited being on top of the pyramid, kind of where you have closest contact to the stars, to the sky. Also, I want to throw in one more thing, a very general note, which I really should mention more often, that it's never causal. Astrology is not causal. Astrology is synchronistic. That means it's not the planets which are causing whatever we are experiencing. The planets are just a mirror. It's one simultaneous expression of the same. As everything is interconnected, you could see it as the blueprint in a way. And so there's no causal connection, which is one of the main arguments anyone who is questioning astrology, particularly from a scientific point of view. Very important to make that clear to these people. Actually, it was Carl Jung, which was the first, in my understanding, the first person to point out that synchronicity is the real game. It's never causal. Everything happens synchronistic. It's like two watches or two clocks on the wall, independently showing the same time. They're not causally connected. They are just linked by something of a greater understanding, which is way above on a higher dimension, higher level. That's how we have to understand astrology. So anyway, let's read that 28th degree of Aries, which is super interesting here too. That is, a large audience confronts the performer who disappointed its expectations. That's a situation where we realize what we have been presented with is not really what we deserved. Something was missing, and it is that energy which is definitely very prominent on this planet right now. There's big question marks pretty much behind anything and everything. And in this context, I just wanted to show you, I mean, you probably have heard and seen that too. That is Dr. John Campbell's latest one from yesterday. I guess he has already done a few more since he is commenting here on that interview with Elon Musk. I just want to play you here a few seconds of that so you get the picture. He's a great warrior of truth. He meanwhile gets lots of followers, 2.75 million, and has usually around 300,000 views of his videos, so his message is getting out there.
This video, it's Thursday the 13th of April. Now I've had an inordinate amount of requests to look at the information contained in this interview, so let's have a quick look at that now.
For context, because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time. COVID misinformation. You changed the COVID misinformation.
Has BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
I'm just asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, it then disappeared. Why do that?
Well, COVID is no longer an issue. Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations? And not reporting on that at all? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy. Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, you thought it wasn't?
And I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. You want to talk about the BBC? All right, let's talk about something else.
You weren't expecting that.
Let's talk about something else.
Has the BBC...
Well, I guess you get the picture. This is really this Sun Aries energy in pure, which we were just talking about, and that questioning of what we were presented with. The issue is how to handle this situation. Rudyard keeps writing here under this degrees comment. How we are handling the situation is in one form or another. It is an often recurring situation in life. The manner in which it is met, this confrontation, determines the individual's future possibilities of development and achievement. So there's a big sense of responsibility here in taking for one's actions, responsibility for one's actions, responsibility of one's performance, and I guess that is all really coming out big time. So yes, this is strongly interconnected with the comet's energy, what's coming up in the next few days. It's really the activation of all these codes which have been planted in all our society. I would say it's really been inserted, and that has slowly been sprouting and gets ready to pop and get into the vocal field. So once more, this is the comet cutting through the... Okay, it really doesn't like me to look at this chart, keeps popping away. Here it is again. The zero latitude, that is the ecliptic. That is when the comet was diving through that plane, which is defined by Sun and Earth, which is really Earth's grounding in the whole solar system's plane, you could say. How Earth is inserted in this greater family of all the planets. And when now the comet dives through that place, it's really where the comet's energy is disseminated into the whole solar system, you could say. So this is was a super important moment, and actually it happened within less than 2 hours of conjuncting with Mars here at 13 degrees and 14 minutes in Gemini. You can go back to these recordings. I made several of them because this is such an impactful and powerful comet, and it shows in many ways. So today, just look at this degree here where Mars and the comet was on February 12th, when it was disseminating its energy into the whole solar system, so to say. And now look at what this degree is exactly trining Moon and Haumea here. And this is just two contacts here. You have two exact contacts. There is much more going on here. I'm just showing you the most obvious. So let's keep going here. So this is today, the 14th, actually is 6 Juan in the Mayan calendar. I just quickly want to throw that one in too, as it is really an amazing way to understand what's going on every day. Being tuned into the Mayan calendar, I've been doing that since many years, and it's pretty much every day it's a revelation. It makes so much sense. So today is 6 Juan, that's this day here, so you read it from here. joined power of illusion, magic and play. And this is the 6th day of this cycle here, which started on April the 9th. 1 Kimi, the world bridger, which is cardinal north. It is grounding the energy and getting us to a place of, I would say, of making peace with what is. This is the wonderful thing of the Kimi energy of the world bridger. It is standing with one foot in this world, with the other in the other, and in that sense really creates unity on a very, very deep level. This is the 6th day today, again a cardinal energy. 6 is rhythmic. Tomorrow we have a portal day, the 15th of April. And then the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, another portal day here, when the eclipse will happen on the Kaban day, which is also earthquake, is another name for Kaban. It's the navigation of Earth. It's the Earth monster, which means usually it's a day of something new breaking into existence, a new idea, a new thought, a new perception, or even a new creation. So this is all very exciting. I will put the link under this video where you can look up the correlation between the Gregorian calendar, which we're using here in the West and on the whole planet right now, and the correlation with the Mayan calendar as perceived by Jose Arguelles, also called the Dream Spell calendar, which I, as I say, have been watching for over 20 years now. It's every day a revelation, the amazing resonance. Anyway, I just wanted to throw this in here, and then let's go back to what's going on out in the cosmos. So Haumea is a big theme right now. So heliocentrically, Haumea will enter Scorpio on the 17th, that is on next Monday, just a few days prior to the eclipse. Haumea here at 0000 Scorpio, right here at this corner. So Haumea is, well, it really deserves its own video, which I will do. I will just really give you the essence here. Haumea is the goddess of giving birth, of birthing new land, new islands. It's the goddess who created Hawaii. Very volcanic, fiery, stands for reform and renewal, rebirth. Has been in the sign of Libra for the last probably 25 years or so, and will again be about 25 years in Scorpio from here on. And keep that in mind, heliocentrically, planets always move direct. That means this is the one and only moment when Haumea will cross lines into new territory. In that sense, giving us that basic frequency of transformation, of all that scorpionic depth and intensity behind it. It so happens that Haumea was, as seen from Earth, already dipping into the scorpionic energy starting last November the 13th it was. So since we already have gotten a sense of what this means, of this, and I mean, we have come long ways. I mean, I just want to say this in between. And if you go back to my videos, we have been totally on track with what I have been predicting and saying. This has been a remarkable path of going towards liberation and integration and all the wonderful good things which our future are holding. We are right on track to it. Yes, it's not coming immediately. It's still a little bit of an uphill battle in some way or other, but it's really much more by now about holding the energy, holding the ground, and creating that frequency, generating that frequency, which will make it impossible for the lower frequencies to remain here on planet Earth. By us consciously connecting with Earth, with the ground, grounding, super important. Take your shoes off now as spring comes, go out into the lawn, really feel the connection with planet Earth and feel the circuits which are immediately starting to flow when you put awareness in it. I mean, they're flowing all the time, but if we voluntarily, by volition, go into this space, reconnect, that's when we are recreating the dragon lines, as Jacqueline Hobbs puts it, rewriting the Earth grid, overwriting the AI artificial grid which has been superimposed and which is really the deeper reason for all the conflict and division which is on this planet still occurring. Once this has been changed and removed, then magically everything will start making sense. People will no more fight with one another, and we will see that there is something else which is responsible for that. This is kind of where we are going here with Haumea into Scorpio here, heliocentrically. This is really the background energy which will be feeding us for the next 25 years or so. Now, this happens just short before Venus and Mars will have their heliocentric conjunction. Already they are conjunct here also with Pallas here close by. So this is beautifully actually reminiscent of the discovery chart of Haumea, which we will get into in the other recording, so stay tuned for that. Where also we have a Venus-Mars conjunction, which is all about giving birth to something new in Leo. After all, Leo, the sign of self-expression, of manifestation. Super important. This actually will be exact, this conjunction, on the 22nd of April, just 2 days after the eclipse. It's kind of the cherry on top of the cake, really, which will decide how this energy will be integrated and manifested. And so let's just stay with this chart for a minute, because it is really the final stone in the puzzle of these few days. We are just getting our feet wet with. You see Chiron here at the top of the chart. Very powerful, very beautiful. This is the theme, the greater theme of unpacking everything which is not right, bringing all the problems onto the table, taking every lie apart and exposing it to sunlight and to nature's healing frequencies, and then it will all by itself purify and heal. So it is that conscious effort to go there, allow to feel it, allow to see it, and then that's all it's needed. Don't touch it, don't even interfere with it, just bring it into consciousness. And as we are doing this, each of you in their own way, we are feeding it into the collective field. And before too long, everybody will start picking up on these frequencies which we are generating by purifying it within our own sphere, our own space. So this is really the bottom line here, is that purification, healing, which is way underway. You see the Venus-Mars conjunction here, 20th degree of Leo. Again, I want to link it here quickly to the comet. When the comet finally turned direct, stationary direct, that's what SD is standing for months on, and actually the comet in itself has such an inclination to the ecliptic that it constantly moves retrograde. It's more than 90 degrees tilted against the ecliptic, that's why. So when it finally came to a place where it started moving forward from our perspective, this is a very significant moment. It's like the moment when the arrow is released, when finally the energy is, which has been kind of piling up and building up, finally to start being focused outwardly again. I go more in depth into this chart in my recordings on that comet, which you will all find in the archive. Just two things I want to mention. You see the moon here. 1934 in Leo, it was here close conjunct the part of fortune, which always shows the natural gravitational place where everything falls in place, where everything harmoniously comes together. In the 6th house, which is all about healing and health and working together cooperatively, that Virgo energy here of the 6th house, and notwithstanding the black moon here at the cusp of the house, yes, giving the theme, yes, it is about dealing with all that darkness and deceit which has been happening, particularly on that level of health and well-being, and us being infiltrated by all kinds of frequencies which are not beneficial at all that being exposed. And yes, you see that is exactly where this Venus-Mars conjunction is occurring. It's just really amazing how the universe works. Everything comes together organically, guided by sacred geometry. That's how I see it. It's the structure of the quantum vacuum, which is having that imprint of sacred geometry. That's why everything you look at in nature is perfect. Whatever state it is, it might even be a leaf in decay, or in the middle of winter when all nature is barren and asleep. Everything is always beautiful, like after a first snowfall. So we have this beautiful configuration here in this chart of Venus and Mars having their exact meeting. Now, first of all, Venus and Mars, when they meet every about 1.5 years or so, that happens. So this is not happening too often, this revamping of their creative cycle. It is a moment of birth, a moment of recreation. 72 degrees away is Earth. This is planet Earth here in the heliocentric picture. And then we have this couple of B quintiles, 144 degrees up to Neptune. Here Neptune is therefore really the one to look at what is being created here now in this next phase. What is the focus on the 26th degree of Pisces? Again, I consulted the astrological mandala, and I was once again deeply impressed by this symbol. Let me just share it with you. Watching It is a keen appreciation of the value of individualized response to any challenge of life. I guess I mentioned that already in my other video on the speeding up solar maximum, but I just wanted to give you the kind of the most important information here once more, as it's so important. It is when we are confronted with the opportunity to expand our energy along new lines, we can bring in our personal character and recreate on the basic of cosmos spiritual impulse, which will lead us through the varied steps. Neptunian, yes, Neptunian, it is the intuition, it is that unseen frequency which we have seen in that particular degree, 28th, I guess, of Libra, which was so pronounced in all these charts. We are becoming more and more aware of that unseen world, and we are picking up and therefore accepting the fact that we are connected, and not to and just be ourselves. So the the key word here Rudyard gives for this degree is the fallacy of totalitarianism. It falls short, because this is really what is defeating this one-size-for-all approach of our present times. Anyway, this is extremely promising. And Mercury here in the power position, conjunct Maki and Ceres, and opposed by Salacia here, square Pholus and Quaoar. So this is a whole big T-square here which is going on. Maki, Salacia and Pholus and Quaoar, that's a long-standing energy which comes to life here now through Mercury and Ceres. So first I would say the basic frequency here of this T-square is the courage to take on new challenges, go through a period of discomfort and even feel the pain. That's the Quaoar part here, but still coming from a place of serenity and of inner knowing. Salacia, that's the shimmer, the light reflected on the lake, on the water. It is that wonderful energy of everything falling in place with everything else, everything being in harmony with one other. Salacia, the wife of Neptune, by the way. Again, you can go back to the library. I made at least 1 or 2 recordings on Salacia. Very, very powerful character, discovered in 2004. So with Mercury and Ceres coming into this line here heliocentrically, this pretty much pushes us with our nose onto, hey, look here, this is important, and have the courage to face it and feel how you are getting nourished by doing that. It is a direct appreciation which is coming through on whatever level you're at and you're looking. It is an immediate response which is now possible, as the frequencies already in general are so high, so much elevated from where they were. Yes, we have come extremely long ways in the last 3 years. It's wonderful to acknowledge that. So this is the heliocentric picture of that peak event in this coming 7 days, that heliocentric Venus-Mars conjunction. Just quickly having a look at what it looks from planet Earth's perspective, that moment with a 0 degree Gemini moon here. That would be, it's just very crowded here. 0 degree Gemini moon here in conjunction still with Sedna here in the last degree of Taurus. And Venus here at 13 degrees Gemini. Again, remember where the comet and Mars met when they were within the ecliptic. Just here once more, if you allow me to do it. Yes, you see 13, 14, that was where Mars was, and the comet on that powerful day of downloading this frequency into the whole solar system's field. Now, yes, Venus and Mars, as seen from the Sun's perspective, are in a perfect conjunction. Again, scrolling back here to this chart, you see here the 20th degree of Leo, and this is seen from the Sun's perspective. Now, if we go and stand on Earth and look at these two planets, that's where they are appearing from our perspective. So you see, because Venus is so much closer, Mars is farther away, they are here more than 30 degrees apart. So this is true for all the closer planets, the inner planets, that they can be in extremely different locations when we look from the different perspectives. The farther away a planet is, the less is the difference, because naturally the angle is smaller between the two locations if we triangulate it to that planet we're focusing on. For example, you see with Chiron 1649 as seen from Earth, geocentric, versus 1601 as seen from the Sun's perspective. And always keep in mind, the heliocentric is the energetic backdrop. It is what feeds us, and what then is manifesting on planet Earth is what we perceive in that sense, geometrically, how the planets stand against Earth. So yes, let's return to the lineup here of what's going on between now and the 22nd, because there's really a whole bunch of things going on here. So yes, this is today, the Sun Aries conjunction, and then actually, before we even get to that, I have here one more chart which I didn't show you, because I just have to limit myself sometimes. But there is the perfect square between Saturn and Sedna, again heliocentrically, which will be exact on the 16th, on next Sunday. Now this is a very deep energy of grounding and of resetting the structure of which direction we are moving. Still here in the last degree of Aquarius as seen from the Sun, interestingly enough. That's one thing to note, even though as seen from Earth, Saturn already is here at 5 degrees or something in Pisces. In its essence, it still is resonating on that Aquarian frequency. Actually, in these last 2.5 degrees of Aquarius, still loaded with the Capricornian frequency, as it's the final dwad of Aquarius. So this also gives a very powerful determination to lay a new foundation. And interestingly enough, this chart here, which is the heliocentric ingress of Haumea into Scorpio here again, has that Scorpio rising with Sedna and Saturn here pretty much exactly in the main geometry embedded, super powerful. Mercury high up here in opposition to Neptune. Again, Mercury being a dominant force here of in the 9th house, coming to clarity mentally, understanding, seeing the connections of everything. Mercury, the planet of perception. So this is then the same chart, Haumea's heliocentric entry into Scorpio as seen from Earth, and here you see here Haumea is at 003 Scorpio. Now you see Haumea is also retrograde, as it is at the opposition point of the Sun. You see you can think of, if we stand here on Earth, I mean this is just a projection of where Earth would be as seen from the Sun. It's always on the other side, but think you're standing here on Earth, the Sun is on one side and Haumea is far away. So because of Earth's motion, Haumea appears to move backwards and will re-enter Libra actually just hours after the Sun enters Taurus. We will get to that. Super powerful. So Haumea is one of the key factors in this coming eclipse. Absolutely, that's why I want to do a special edition video on that energy. Just bear with me, it will probably happen in a few days. So the Moon Neptune conjunction here, it's literally an osmotic process of absorbing, of tuning into what is the Moon and Neptune both here still in hexagram 36, darkening of the light. Yes, it's first of all, it's diving into that dark tunnel of the unknown, allowing everything to come to the surface. That's kind of the energy. It's at the in the very final line of that hexagram, just before entering the one which then initiates the new cycle, which is 25, hexagram 25, innocence, which then would start at 2815. Again, for those of you new to this concept of hexagrams and such, this is the overlay of the I Ching with the tropical zodiac as has been received through the teachings of the human design system, and that's on my personal website, thecosmoswithin.org. And if you scroll down here, you get all the breakdown of the different degrees where the different hexagrams start and end, the different lines. Just wanted to show you this quickly here too. Again, Mars here highlighted. with vertex. It's all about that willful intention, volition of wanting to do it, wanting to go there, wanting to open our mouths, wanting to do some particular action in terms of furthering the agenda of truth and of integrity, wisdom, clarity, healing, whatever you call it, truth. Also here, just scrolling back here quickly to this chart, the heliocentric Venus-Mars conjunction. Again, Mars here was prominently aligned with the equatorial ascendant, the east point, equatorial point, which means that was this moment, or will be, I should actually speak in future here, as this is still to come. This will be the future moment when Venus-Mars heliocentric conjunction as seen from Earth. Mars will be exactly at the equatorial ascendant. How about that? This is a collectively super important point, the equatorial point. Naturally it is. If you would stand on the equator in that moment, what would be rising in the east? Then let's keep going here. Okay, now we're getting to the eclipse. And this is the root chart. I just thought I should start you with this one to give you the full picture here. Let's look at a few things here in this regard. Oops, that was too much. Okay. Here we go. So this eclipse belongs to Saros cycle 129, which began in 1103. Sorry about that. So what stands out is this is the longest hybrid solar eclipse of this particular cycle. Saros cycles are lasting for 1300 centuries. It started in 1103 with the first partial solar eclipse, and since every 18 years there is a solar eclipse, and they go through the year 2528. And here you see the one which we have right now, April 20th, 2023, which is, as I say, the longest lasting hybrid eclipse. Now, what is a hybrid solar eclipse? Let's just look at that for a moment. So this is where the eclipse will be where you could observe it. This is where it will be most at its maximum. And so a hybrid eclipse means in part of the area it is observed as a total eclipse. That's that small sliver of dark magenta here, and in the kind of more whitish band, this is where the eclipse will be seen as an annular eclipse. Annular means there's still a ring of fire around the moon. The moon is slightly too small for covering the whole body of the sun. Just here in this center area is where the eclipse will be observed for 1 minute and 13 seconds at a time as being total. So so this is the original eclipse which started the whole series, which is kind of giving the theme to every 18 years. The next event will be colored, will have that same base frequency. What stands out here is naturally this was an eclipse, Sun and Moon conjunct, opposing Pluto in Aries. How about that? How about transformation and change and the challenge to change skins? And then look at this 9th degree of Gemini. Those of you who have listened or watched my videos on the comet again know this is the degree where the comet turned direct on March the 5th. Here we have it again. That was the moment at 8:22 or 8:21 Gemini. Naturally it's missing here in the picture because it's not part of the program, but you can imagine 8:21, and that was where Mars turned direct on January 12, which happened to be within hours of the comet having its closest approach to the Sun, its perihelion. So all kind of coming together in amazing ways there with Mars and the comet, how the Mars is really the one which carries that momentum the most. So yes, this is the root eclipse. Now if we overlay inside, we still have the root eclipse of 1103, and outside you now have the present meeting of Sun and Moon at 2950 Aries. Here we have it. So first of all, this eclipse happens in the 8th house at the cusp, actually still pretty much in the 8th house of that basic family pattern of that eclipse series. And you see Chiron here 1641 pretty much exactly aligned within this axis of the original eclipse. If we now focus on how this coming eclipse will appear, again on the 0 meridian in Greenwich, then you see that will be here early morning, 4:16 or something a.m., an hour or so before sunrise, when Sun and Moon will have their exact meeting. Now I want to show you something else first before we go any further, because this is again another way of looking at astrology. This is again according to the human design system. These are the positions of the planets at when okay, that's not what I want, sorry. What happened here? Previous. Okay, here we go. It's kind of funny. Anyway, so these are the degrees of the planets, and then this is the translation into the hexagrams, into which line they are in each of these hexagrams. And then here this gives you the channels which are formed between the planets. So there is Pluto in channel 60, the Sun and the Moon in channel 3. This is the channel of mutation. This is a very fast change from here to there. So this channel actually will be activated quite a bit over the next few months, as Pluto is in hexagram 60. Each time hexagram 3 is activated, it will be coming soon when the nodes will be in this hexagram. So this is basically what we will see through the whole next months, probably into summer or so, this channel activated of fast change. That's what it basically means. That literally we jump from one expression to another. 5027, that is, if we go and look here, this is the Earth in hexagram 50, and 27, that is the North Node. This is a powerful channel of nourishment and being connected to our intuition, to really be gifted in that sense. Hexagram 50 is the cauldron, very nourishing, and 27 the open mouth, nourishment as such. So this is shows how nature is providing on all levels right now, which we need. We get the full backup of the natural systems. 39 and 55, the other channel, that is the channel of provocation. Interesting, particularly hexagram 39, where Mars is in right now. Here you have it. Is what is the word there? Difficulty. I guess difficulty is the word for this hexagram. We are pushed to face difficulties, naturally, no questions is there coming up. This is pretty much what it is. And then on the other side is 55, which is populated by Saturn right now. So it's Mars and Saturn. Mars and Saturn, when they come together, they're very determined and thorough. It is that putting down one's foot energy, drawing the line till here and no further. So this is super powerful, just even from this angle, seeing what this eclipse is holding in its frequencies. Then naturally the last degree of Aries. Let's look at this for a moment, where the eclipse will be manifesting in a duck pond and its brood, the realization of natural boundaries. In the comment it says it is there in the little duck pond where the substance for concrete action has to be found. So it is in our personal small world environment where we are meant to implement whatever we are given here by the cosmos to work with. And that is where our effective activity has to be focused. So this is the keyword here, focalization. Really, as Jacqueline Hobbs puts it, the very focused intention on whatever you're wanting to heal or change or improve, just by holding your mental and spiritual energy focused on that point, and it will there's some magic there. Again, we are just vessels for the collective cosmic energies, and we are able to like a loop focusing the sun's rays into one point and creating that heat, creating that enormous intensity which is necessary for things to get moving. With the Aries rising here naturally in the global chart, beautiful. It is that freshness of spring which guides us. The Gemini dwelt, that is between 5 and 7:30 here in Aries, and the Capricorn energy here at the highest point in the chart. Yes, this is let's get things done. This is very focused on manifestation and on putting the foundations down. Capricorn is, I always see Capricorn as the four corners of the universe, where things are crystallizing and falling in place, and it is the first 2.5 degrees, so it's double Capricorn energy here, and rooted by double water Cancer energy, which is feeding us from the below, all that care and loving tender embrace from Earth. A very, very powerful eclipse. And again, as I said, just a day before Mercury will turn retrograde here. Mercury still moving forward toward Uranus here. You see there just a bit more than 2 degrees apart. So Mercury definitely already resonates strongly with Uranus. Mercury Uranus, that's I would say curiosity at its highest. We want to know. It is kind of electrifying to realize how everything is attuned to everything else. Naturally, Uranus resonating strongly with the Plutonian frequency now, as Pluto is here in Aquarius. And not to forget, Pluto is squaring the new moon here, the eclipse point. So this is an extremely transformational chart we are seeing here. And again, as you know, eclipse energies last for at least 6 months. So this is through the whole summer into fall, which these energies are available and directly there for us to work with. Interestingly enough, this is the same chart for Washington DC. I just thought this was worth sharing. I usually try to stay away from the focalization on different parts of Earth, different countries, but this was just standing out. You see you have Chiron here at exactly at the 4th house cusp here for Washington DC at the midnight point. Very much resonating with this chart here, which I showed you earlier, of the Helio Venus Mars conjunction just 1 or 2 days later. I thought this was really outstanding, showing most likely that as we had foreseen for a long time, and we know that actually Washington DC, the American nation, is a great leader in the right direction. Doesn't mean that we have to wait for things to happen there first, but it is definitely in the cards, obviously, that there's a major move going in that place in the next short while towards the healing, towards the integration and the bringing together of the population and overcoming all the divisions. So this is again, you see the sun is at 2950 here when the eclipse is exact. Actually, this is one thing you might have seen. The moon is not exactly in the same degree as the sun. See, 2950, 2952. That is always again because of the geometry, that there's 3 bodies involved: the sun, the moon, and earth. So for that reason, there's also always a little bit either before or after the exact new moon alignment is when we experience the maximum of an eclipse. In that way, when an eclipse is most exact, short, or most at its greatest, I should say, shortly after the new moon, means it's really a start of something new, going forward into a whole new unfolding. Whereas if the eclipse would be most exact short before new moon, which happens too, this usually means that this event, this celestial event, is closing a chapter and bringing something to full circle, to conclusion. This eclipse most clearly, not just because it's in Aries and because Aries is so powerfully prominent in this chart, but it is really a new beginning we are setting here. A new pace is coming into the making. And Astrea, I really should say a few words about Astrea too, as it is the asteroid most closely linked in with the eclipse position here. Astrea, the goddess who reportedly stayed on planet Earth long after all the other gods had left, had gone up to Mount Olymp to enjoy themselves, as things have gone so sour down here on the ground. Everything was in disarray already and falling apart. Astrea, very kind-hearted, very big heart, really wanting to help human beings to sort everything out. That's kind of the image, the frequency you're getting here. Rolling our sleeves back and actively stepping in and doing the right thing, even though it is that we have to go out of our way or an extra mile. That's kind of the energy, and this is beautifully really integrated into this solar eclipse main frequency. And then, yes, the sun enters Taurus on the 20th. And again, this is the Greenwich chart, and I mean, it's just uncanny here. You have Saturn here up high. So yeah, expect the next 4 weeks while the sun is in Taurus. I mean, this is the heliocentric chart I'm starting you off with. I just found this very, very interesting. So the Earth is at 0 degrees. Nevertheless, Scorpio. Yes, you heard that right. When the sun moves into Taurus, as seen from the sun's perspective, naturally Earth appears in Scorpio. That's why this month is traditionally such a powerful mover, changer, transformer, the month of when the sun is in Taurus, when the Earth is in Scorpio. And as we see with Haumea just barely having entered Scorpio here heliocentrically, so Earth is directly aligned, and actually just hours later, this is when the perfect conjunction is, or opposition, between Haumea and the Sun. And you see, this is the geocentric image for the Sun Haumea opposition, which is all about giving birth, going through that birth pain, which naturally is necessary if you want to give birth to a child. And all of you women know that firsthand. We just can kind of empathize with it as being male. but it is a basic principle. To give birth demands to accept and go through that pain and that labor, that huge challenge which nature throws your way, with the big reward afterwards that you have been given a new creation, literally a new version of life, of reality. So this is big. This is a really a big moment on the 20th of April, when this alignment is exact, pretty much within, as I say, you see here 8:33 a.m. That is when the opposition is perfect between Sun and Haumea, and 8:13, just 20 minutes into the Sun being in Taurus. This is exact. Very, very powerful. And last but not least, yes, this is then Mercury's turning point, turning retrograde on the 21st of April at 8:35 a.m. in Greenwich time, in Universal Time. Here you see Mercury, and the Moon happens to be here. Interesting. The Moon, which, as we know, is the lens through which we observe the universe, which is really the translator to understand what's going on up there, together with Mercury. This is also showing that these next 4 months will be a very an emotional touchdown of what really has happened in these whatever many years we are now coming to terms with, which pretty much is the whole history, to be honest. So this is setting the stage for what's to come. Again, with Saturn high up, yes, the stakes are high, and it is about coming to grip and to terms with pretty dark and dismal reality. It is the path we have to work ourselves through to get out on the other end. May will be biblical, I tell you that already. May is an amazing month. It's just, this is the beginning really of the most intense period this year, between April 19, or pretty much today, April 14, I would say, and the end of May. So I'm leaving it at this, and again, thank you for listening, and always appreciating your comments under the videos. I very much look forward to that again, and if you like, please click the subscribe button, and yeah, you know what to do. Talk to you soon. Thank you for joining and listening.